So you know the drill by now. I'll be comparing them as martial artists and lightsaber duelists. Count Dooku, Anakin Skywalker, and Ahsoka Tano are from a long list of Jedi Guardians, stretching from the time of Master Yoda. This will be very difficult because I'll be studying Dooku from all of the Legends and Expanded Universe material of his fighting style. Dooku's main fighting style was the Form 2, Markashi, the Way of the Emissary Miri, or the Moderation. Dooku was trained in only one form of lightsaber combat, the Markashi style of combat. Markashi was the most fondest style of Count Dooku. Markashi is a fencing form used in an era when lightsaber-to-lightsaber battles were more common between Sith, Dark Jedi, and between sparring matches with other Jedi. Dooku relished in Markashi, using it as an incredible display of control and moderation. Markashi is the dance of the duelist, and that is exactly what Dooku was. Dooku will not just flip around and jump around like a bean like Yoda does. Dooku uses grace. Dooku will cut your head off with a flick of his wrist or a sidestep. There is no messing around with Count Dooku. However, the Markashi style lacks any significant power in its movements. It is useless against multiple opponents, and absolutely terrible for blast deflection. But all these weaknesses that Dooku compensated for the weaknesses of this style by improving on his strength, becoming a very muscular figure even in his old age. He practiced incredibly hard to deflect laser bolts, one of the prime weaknesses of the Markashi style. It is terrible for blast protection, and that's the reason it became obsolete in the later years. Dooku improved these weaknesses by only action. He still had difficulty deflecting laser bolts, but he doesn't have the sense to die instantly like other companions. He's also proven that he is capable of fighting off multiple opponents with incredible ease. This guy fought Savage Opress and Asajj Ventress, a whole bunch of Night Sisters and Dathomiri assassins. Dooku does have a stamina problem, but he is not some frail old man. And why Dooku is so feared and so great in the Jedi, and why he became such a threat to the Sith, is because he's not a bloodthirsty, rage-crazed lunatic. He is simply a dancer with a lightsaber. He's a very motivated man. You're not going to get over Count Dooku. Count Dooku's fighting style is based around control over brute force. And that's why he did so well. He knows Jedi's MMOs. He sparred Qui-Gon Jinn so many times and he always won. He knows the Ataru style. And he's also hybrided styles into his lightsaber sequences on the back of Markashi. He knows every style in the book and he can pinpoint it. Count Dooku is not some flimsy, crippled old man. He is a military cunning tactician. But even though he still has a weakness against power-based lightsaber forms like Ataru, Agenso, and Juya, but he's able to adapt to the situation. Only Yoda, Windu were able to match Count Dooku in a set of swordplay, where so many others, until the time of Revenge of the Sith that is, could not. It was only by the time the War's End, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker fought together. But when Skywalker was separated to Kenobi, Dooku was able to handle him. until Palpatine goaded Skywalker into killing the Count. Then Count Dooku realized that he was out of his depth. His Marquis style came obsolete. But we're still dealing with Dooku in his physical prime. So Skywalker and Tano have a lot to handle with. You're not going to defeat Dooku unless you got some tricks under your sleeve. So many people tried, and so many people failed. And it was one of the greatest kills Anakin Skywalker ever achieved. That's not saying anything if he was some flimsy old man with a curved lightsaber. Dooku is not some frail old man. He's a military tactician with a lot of tricks under his sleeve. Amen? So that's my analyzation of Count Dooku. On to Tano and Skywalker. Oh boy, this will be fun. Anakin Skywalker was a young prodigy with a lightsaber at a young age. Skywalker advanced quickly with his lightsaber skills, developing many things, but he was also kind of a bit arrogant, and also didn't see the appropriation for improving his style. That's why so many other people advanced quicker than he was. Although he was not sloppy, he was a very technical, sophisticated brute. Skywalker studied in the Ataru fighting style, a high energetical fighting style. Also, Skywalker began to dabble in the Surisu fighting style, a highly defensive fighting form directed around about maximizing your defensive positions while redirecting blaster fire and able to hold against 20 opponents. By Attack of the Clones, Anakin started dabbling into the Xian style. Ataru, a highly based martial art able to use your entire body as a weapon. Ataru was very good against single opponents, versatile, but terrible for blast deflection and useless for multiple opponents. You can't jump and flip when you have nowhere to jump and flip. So, yeah. So that's why Skywalker dabbled in Surisu. He used Surisu for maximum defensive cultures, where he used Ataru for an offensive. Kind of like what Obi-Wan does. He uses Surisu for maximum defense cultures, and he uses Ataru for attack. Same with his apprentice. But by the time of Attack of the Clones, Anakin started dabbling in Xian. Xian, the version of the fifth form of combat, the way of the Krayt Dragon. Main MMO for Xian is to redirect the blaster bolts right at their opponents. It is good against multiple opponents, but it is absolutely terrible against single opponents. Also, Skywalker delved into the Nine-Man style, the Jar Kai variant, and he did use it against Dooku against Attack of the Clones with no avail, until Skywalker dabbled into the Ajemso fighting style, a highly aggressive, highly specialized fighting style, developed for lightsaber to lightsaber combat. And as Dooku says, he was the finest Ajemso user he had ever seen. Until he was defeated by him, of course. But Ajemso had many flagrant weaknesses. For instance, its lack of footwork and mobility. That's why Skywalker used Ajemso and Ataru and Surisu. Surisu for defense, Ajemso for offense, and for Ataru for maneuverability. Really, there is nowhere where Skywalker is not moving. But by saying it, Skywalker can be a bit of a tactless brute, but he is no way a slob. And he is an incredible duelist, able to survive encounters with the likes of Ventress, Savage Opress, Count Dooku multiple of times, but it was only by the time of his Revenge of the Sith scene we are looking at, when he's just defeated Count Dooku. But he wouldn't have got there without his help with Obi-Wan Kenobi. So can Skywalker fight Count Dooku without Obi-Wan Kenobi's help? We're looking into this. That's why we have Ahsoka. Let's see how well Ahsoka Tano's fighting style does. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Like her master before her and his master before him, Ahsoka Tano was a long line of Jedi Guardians. Jedi who have decided to spend most of their time adapting to their lightsaber skills instead of their Force abilities. Ahsoka Tano dabbled in Surisu for ultimately defense ecology and long-term survivability and able to defend against 20 shooters because she was basically fighting blaster-wielding adversaries. She used Ataru for her physicality as well as her swift body movements, as well as an offensive advantage because Surisu's main weakness is it has no offensive fire ability, and she adapted the Jarkai variant of Ataru. She also studied the Shien, evidently to redirect blasters right at opponents, as well as the Gemso on the assistance of her master, but she never really mastered into the true levels of the Gemso, unlike her master did. She also had a preference for the Nyman style, also the Jarkai variant of that as well, but her main preference is Ataru. And Ahsoka Tano wasn't just some typical Ataru specialist. She adapted and mixed and matched fighting forms in her own personal style. Ahsoka Tano does jump around a lot. I mean a lot. But she has a lot of physical stamina and ability coming from her defenses of Surisu and Shien, able to redirect multiple blasts. Because all the enemies she would be fighting were blaster-wielding assailants, and she did use Surisu, Ataru, and Nyman when she was fighting in a lightsaber duel. Ahsoka Tano, unlike her master, had a very patient MMO. It was only when she was angry, she lost her composure, and she would risk getting hit with a lightsaber. But Ahsoka's defenses courageous has survived. She survived duels against Magna Guards, endless waves of battle droids, and facing against General Grievous and Assad Ventress, notable Jedi killers who were able to fight council members, and she survived to tell the tale. Ahsoka Tano is not some simple Padawan learner, but an adaptable student. She is a quick learner, and she has an experience with the Markashi style as well as the Ataru styles as well, coming from her duels with Assad Ventress and General Grievous. Barriss Offee only defeated Ahsoka Tano through surprise, not through superior power, and because of her over-reliance of Jarkai dual blades, one of Ahsoka Tano's weaknesses. Even without her other saber, she was still able to survive long enough against Barriss Offee, until Barriss Offee resorted to physical strikes in her force powers. Then Tano was thrashed around like a ragdoll. Ahsoka is an incredible student. Even though we're not doing Tano in Rebels, we're doing Ahsoka Tano in the Clone Wars TV series. I may have to retract my statements when we see Ahsoka Tano fight. But until then, I'm sticking with Ahsoka in Clone Wars. So all those Rebel fans saying, "Oh yeah, she's gonna fight Darth Vader," yeah, doesn't mean she's gonna win. So we're keeping it into the Clone Wars. Any of those naysayers who may think her skills may have changed, they could have changed, but we don't know. So next part will be the verdict, force abilities, and final verdict against this lightsaber duel. See you soon. Peace and salutations, everyone.